Hi, this is Millie Kay and it's Wednesday, July 5th, 2017, and I want to start this video off by reading what I wrote for the description box. Does the sheriff know about this? A retrospective on the February 12th, 2017 events at Oroville Dam. The events that led to the evacuation of nearly 200,000 people on February 12th, 2017 will be revisited for many years. This retrospective documents a part of the story that could much too easily fade into the synthesized narrative of those who would push forward too quickly. Moving forward is good and necessary, but not if we fail to recognize the full impact of negligent actions on the victims and to determine upon whom the responsibility for those actions rests. I am one person, and my voice is not loud, but its message can reverberate exponentially when the cause is close to the heart. Make no mistake, those who are entrusted with decisions that affect the lives of thousands upon thousands of people are to be held to the highest standards of accountability. And then I want to show you a magazine article from the Department of Water Resources Winter-Spring 2017 magazine featuring the spillway incident. Inside is a feature article entitled "The Spillway, DWR Employees Respond to Oroville Facility Emergency." This is a page that has two photos. The top one shows the water going over the emergency spillway weir on February 11th, and the bottom photo shows DWR and other agency staff responding to the Oroville incident. And then I want to read just a little bit from the article about Evacuation Day. By the afternoon of February 12th, DWR engineers warned that erosion at the base of the emergency spillway weir crest could possibly cause the spillway to partially fail. While the integrity of Oroville Dam itself was never threatened, concerns about the emergency spillway erosion prompted public safety officials to order a mandatory evacuation of residents and businesses downstream of the dam. Nearly 200,000 people were affected by the order. And the person who issued the order was Sheriff Corey Honey, the sheriff of Butte County. And he made a talk a couple of months after the spillway incident, and what I did is I transcribed a portion of that talk, and I'm going to read the transcription that I prepared for the remainder of this video. And I'll show you this screen while I'm reading the transcript, and then that will take us almost to the end of this video. The transcript, it takes about 7 minutes to read it. So let me go there and start the reading. I went back to the Department of Water Resources and I was checking in with everybody, and things seemed to be going well, and it appeared to me at that point in time, about 3:30 or so, that I served no useful purpose anymore at the DWR. Everything, all the people that I had there were doing a fantastic job. Everybody was doing what they needed to be doing, and it was kind of one of those things where, you know what, the sheriff's in the way. Maybe I'll just go home and get some rest, and I'll leave this situation in the very capable hands of the people who were working there that day. And so I went around and I began to tell all of the people working there good night, and that I would be going home, and if they needed me, they could contact me by my cell phone. But I had a lieutenant there, and I had one of our public relations folks there, and they would be able to alert me. And so I went around and shook everybody's hand and talked to them. And as I approached the command center, there was a long table, actually longer than this. It was a table that the people who were part of the command team were utilizing. And I walked up to the individual who was the designated incident commander for DWR, a very nice man I've really grown to like and respect. He was sitting at the table and he had his head in his hands like this, and he was looking at a photograph, and the photograph was a picture of the emergency spillway with water coming over the top of it. And as I approached him, I heard him say, "This isn't good. This isn't good, and I don't like this at all." And as I got a little closer, I heard him say, "Does the sheriff know about this?" Now at that moment, I knew that we potentially had a problem, because early on in the formation of our incident command team, there were a couple of opportunities, learning opportunities, for the people of DWR, where I impressed upon them the incredible importance of keeping me informed of anything that might result in a risk to the public safety, and that I needed to know that as soon as possible. And it was that earlier foundation that was laid, which is what resulted in this gentleman saying, "Does the sheriff know about this?" So I walked up and I said, "What's going on?" And he says, "Right here, Sheriff." And he pointed at the water and he said, "It's right here." And I said, "Well, what is that?" And he said, "That's erosion." And it was water to me, and they understand how the water looks when the ground is eroding underneath it. And it was a different, current of white water. And I said to him, "Well, what is this?" He says, "Erosion." And I said, "Okay, what's wrong with that?" He said, "Well, it's moving fast." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And he said, "Well, we need to get into a room and talk about it and really make sure we understand it." And I said, "Well, go get talking and get that done and get out here and talk to me." So he and a number of other experts, engineers, geologists, hydrologists, and dam safety experts, all went into the room, and they came back out. And when they came back out, they were with the director. But I could tell that something was very wrong. The mood had changed. The everything is okay mood that I had experienced about 15 minutes before was gone. And you could tell that these guys were very, very concerned. And so I said, "All right, what's going on here?" And the story, as it played out, and I'll just give you the synopsis of it, essentially was this. Erosion was occurring in the area in front of the emergency spillway. It was moving rapidly. When I asked them how rapid, they said about 30 feet per hour. When I said, "Well, what does it mean?" And then they said, "It's head cutting." And I said, "What does that mean?" And they said, "Well, that means it's moving back towards the face of the emergency spillway." And I said, "Okay, well, what happens when it gets there?" And the gentleman said, "Sheriff, if it gets there, we're concerned that it will result in a catastrophic failure of the emergency spillway." I said, "Okay, well, what does that mean?" And they said, "Well, they told me the number of cubic feet per second of water that would be coming out." And I said, "That doesn't make any sense. Tell me what that means in terms of..." And the analogy of the explanation was, "Sheriff, we would be looking at a 30-foot high wall of water, some 1,013 feet long, flowing out down the hill, taking with it trees and rocks and debris and houses and cars and people, all the way out, and will continue until the top 30 feet of the reservoir has emptied." And I said, "That sounds to me like thousands and thousands and thousands of people's lives are in danger." And they said, "That's exactly right." And so then I said, "How close is it to the spillway, the emergency spillway?" And they said, "Sheriff, we think it's about 30 feet. Now at that point I realized that if the rate of erosion continued, I only had an hour to try and get thousands and thousands of people out of the area. And so I said to the group in command, "Guys, I think we have to evacuate the southern part of Butte County. If we don't do it now, if we don't move now and it goes, we're in trouble, we're going to lose." And they all agreed, "Sheriff, we got to do it." So at that moment, I, now what I refer to, and my staff, pulled the big red handle and ordered the evacuation of the southern part of Butte County. I turned to my lieutenant and I turned to our human relations folks. I said, "Get the word out." The word out meant to put it out to our mass communication system, put it out to our media sources, put it out to our social media. It was all-out effort to blast that message out as wide and as far as we possibly could. Now, I gotta tell you, at that moment, what we were facing, they were scared, I was scared, everybody was scared. It was the most tense and stressful situation I had ever been in my career. And I came to the realization that if the rate of erosion continued and we experienced a catastrophic failure, that it wasn't whether or not people would die, it was how many. And so this was a race to get people out as fast as possible. After giving that order, I gave 3 more orders. So that concludes the transcript, and just as a person who lives downstream, I'm very appreciative of Sheriff Honey's intervention in this, and I consider him a true hero. And I made myself a comment card for the Department of Water Resources with one question. What would you have done if Sheriff Honey hadn't shown up on Sunday, February 12th, 2017? Thank you for viewing my video.